Hello everyone, let's get started. I have been asked from several sides to shed some light again on the Ellis theory, which I try to do in this video. This video might be a bit longer as the last one, and I hope that after that video everyone will kind of understand that theory, which in fact has been confirmed from the three different sources allegedly working in the finance industry as being a fact and not a theory. As a management overview, what this Ellis theory states is that to come to a high value of, let's say, above $400 per XRP, it only needs roughly a transaction of about 50 million to boost the price. Let us now look again on how that works. You can see two tables, the bid table and the ask table. The bid table are bids from potential buyers, what they're bidding as a price for an amount of XRP they want to buy. The highest bid is on top and then they're decreasing. On the ask side, it's the other way around. The lowest asks are on top and then they're increasing. An ask is basically the price a seller asks for a certain amount of XRP he wants to sell. The exchange mechanism tries to match those bids and asks until there is a deal and the trade is executed. It is important to understand that each sell has a buy. There is always a counterpart. You cannot sell if there's no buyer. You cannot buy if there is no seller. In the column sum here, I try to illustrate with the arrows how the sum is calculated. On the first row, it's equal to the total. On the second row, the sum from the row before plus the total value of the current order gives the new sum. Same here. This 20,417 from the previous row, including or summed up with the 2,248, gives this 22,666. Also here, the 32,477 from the previous row, summed together with the current row of 2,484, gives the 34,961. So that's the sum. So in this column, in the sum column, we could basically see when we want to transact $20,000, then we have to execute the first three orders, which will drive the price up to 44.1 cents. Now, in the example I'm making here, and also Shane basically gave, is roughly how much value needs being transferred to bring the price of XRP to a high price. In this example, I'm taking a transaction of 50 million. So the figure here is roughly 50 million. So all these orders before have to be executed to reach a total sum of value of roughly 50 million. The last of these executed ask orders will have a price of 485, and because it's the last order to be executed, this will be the new price of XRP. So one single transaction of 50 million can drive the price up to $485 as of today. Now, it changes every minute because there are new sell orders coming, others are being deleted. So check yourself on Bittrex. They have these tables open to be visible without requiring an account on their site. Just explore markets and then USD with the XRP market. Now back to the Shane Ellis theory. There are two assumptions he's making, and basically it has to do with the preferred XRapid partner exchanges. One assumption is that the price across these preferred exchanges is tightly synchronized, which means there is very, very little time lag in between the prices synchronizing between these exchanges. That's very important in order to reduce the possibility for arbitrage. Another thing which is more or less relevant is that the XRP fiat pairing are more or less decoupled from the XRP other coins like Ethereum or Bitcoin pairings, because a slight price change on Bitcoin could have a huge effect on millions of dollars in transactions via XRP. Now there have been mostly two counter arguments which tried to kind of debunk the Shane Ellis theory, which, I repeat again, has been stated by independent sources as being a fact, not a theory. One of these arguments is arbitrage. Arbitrage, simplified, means you buy low on one exchange and sell high on another exchange. This concept is basically known on existing exchanges for other assets, stocks, whatever. It works as soon as you have a multi-geographic market, like exchanges in different geographies. This is usually possible. However, for us retail investors, that doesn't make us a lot of money, because usually those differences in prices are just fractions of a percent. However, a bank pumping hundreds of millions into US dollar, let's say on an exchange in London, and then selling again in Switzerland or in Germany for a fraction of a percent, will still make them a few million profit. Now, in Shane Ellis' theory, this is a little bit different, because those people arguing that arbitrage would happen come with the argument that on a non-preferred XRapid exchange, the price would still be low. Let's assume below $1. So there would be many intelligent people buying on that exchange for below $1, going to the preferred Xrapid exchange and sell it there for, let's say, $500. Now, question to you: whom would sell his XRP for below $1, knowing that on another exchange where the demand is high, through the Xrapid transactions coming there, he could get a 500 times higher price? Simple answer: no one would. The result would be, on all exchanges worldwide, the price would synchronize to equal levels automatically, more or less. So this argument is basically a non-argument. I would never sell. I mean, usually I'm kind of fixed to my exchange for sure, but I wouldn't give up a 500 times price difference just in order to be able to sell on my exchange. Surely not. Now, the other argument coming from people trying to debunk the Shane Ellis theory is slippage. Easily explained, slippage is basically the difference between the expected trade price of a trade and the actual price of a trade once the trade is actually executed. And to give you an idea why we have an expected price and an actual price, think about Xrapid doing transactions, and this transaction includes giving the user initiating the payment several paths. These paths have to be found first. One could be a direct path, another could be fiat, XRP fiat, another could go through several intermediaries. Each has a different speed, a different price. And that takes some time. There is an average figure floating around in the web that this negotiation of such a transaction takes about 2 minutes in order for the end user to be able to decide which path he wanna his transaction to take. And once he decides, the price may have changed already. So that's basically the slippage. Also a slippage we could understand that while eating or executing all those orders up to the total sum of the transaction required to be transferred, the average cost for those XRP is much lower because basically he executed ask orders at a very low price also. So there is also a difference between this average price and the actual last paid price. Even though that we could consider as a slippage gain, because the bank actually is transferring the value based on the last high value. But let's assume that we could call this slippage. We could call this slippage as well. However, I have found 2 videos and I have provided links in the accompanying PDF with Miguel Villas. Miguel Villas has been employed by Ripple to make sure there will eventually be enough liquidity on the market. In those 2 videos, he stated that basically when this argument from the exchanges or whoever whomever they talk to comes up that slippage may occur, Ripple basically gives them as a feedback, we can cover your loss. So also the second argument of slippage is basically not an argument why the Shane Ellis theory should not work. Now, in the Shane Ellis document there is one question regarding or several questions actually regarding the preferred rapid exchanges. And basically those preferred exchanges may be called internally Ripple Preferred Partner Solution, and they seem to be pre-funded. And this, in my opinion, has two reasons. Shane Ellis basically only uses the first reason, that a Nix rapid transaction cannot fail due to lack of liquidity, which is the reason why the exchange itself has to have XRP in order to be able to guarantee each transaction to be processed properly. I, however, believe this pre-funding will also be used as top up to ensure the exact amount of XRP is available in the transaction. Let's assume the price is stable at, I don't know, $1, and there is a transaction coming in for $1,000. There is two ask orders, one over $980 and one over $1,500. So the closer one to $1,000 is $980, but the transaction needs to transfer $1,000. So the top up, this 20 difference, this is what I think the exchanges will also be required to do with this pre-funding they're actually receiving from Ripple. And many people in the community think that this, I think in the meantime it's already 55 times $5 million which have been floating around. Some people are talking about escrow. I have my serious doubts there. Maybe this 5 million will be only released to those exchanges. That would be a task for someone who could investigate the possible release date of these escrows, but it wouldn't actually make sense to pre-fund via escrow. That I don't really see. Now, some arguments are around keeping the price stable of the XRP once it's high. Let's assume it hits $500. Many small investors, small retail investors like me or you, which have a few thousand or some even have just a few hundreds of XRP, they would sell immediately and the price may drop. However, there is a technique to use a buy and a sell wall in the magnitude of tens or hundreds of millions. A sell wall, I will explain it on the sell wall. The opposite is actually true for a buy wall. A sell wall tends to drive the price down. A buy wall tends to drive the price up. Let's assume the wall is at $10,000, the sell wall. So someone wanting to sell XRP, he would require to have an ask price from a little bit below 10,000, 9,998 or something dollar. And then his ask order surely may be filled. The opposite should happen on the buy wall. There, basically someone wanting to buy XRP would need to offer more than 10,000, let's say $10,002 in order to be able to buy XRP at all. So these two mechanisms, buy and sell walls, are to keep the price more or less stable. A point I've touched already from the preferred XRapid exchanges, they basically must always guarantee to have enough liquidity to process all XRapid transactions. That's why Ripple will supply them with enough XRP. And the price, the high price, will do its own in order to ensure that there is always enough liquidity available. Then there has been questions to Shane regarding the exit strategy, and he basically explained it like that most retail investors, I repeat, investors like me and you, will always be able to sell their XRP, be it on a preferred or on another exchange. Most likely we will have to go below the current market price in order for our order to be executed. And Shane also stated that the overall plan of the whole system is to get us retail investors out of the market, and that the price of XRP will only start skyrocketing way beyond $1,000 once that has happened. I stated that, I think in the video from yesterday, that this may be the reason why this price increase may come in 2-3 waves or phases, maybe to sub $100, sub $500, and then to $5,000 or something. And when it's below 100, like 70 or more % of us retail investors who have no freaking clue, they will have sold their XRP already by the time. So this getting the retail investors out of the business, out of the market, may, depending on how many are willing to sell, between 3 and 12 months. That's my estimation. Then there has been questions around escrow, and I hope I pronounce it properly now. Escrow, not escrow. Escrow, I think it's called. And basically Shane and other sources told that Ripple can sell the money coming from that escrow at any price they want, thus ensuring there is always enough liquidity on the market. There has been a question regarding regulation. Shane basically stated Ripple technology is fully compliant from the banking perspective. As Jack the Rippler and me and few others maybe assume, because the Ripple technology could be seen as infrastructure, and the infrastructure doesn't really require regulation, that could basically be the reason. What will drive the price even higher in the future? The more banks join the network, the more demand for XRP will be there. the more transactions will be executed and the more XRP in flight. Remember these transactions XRapid does, which takes 2 minutes. Within those 2 minutes there may be a certain amount of XRP kind of parked, not available on the market, and that will basically increase scarcity of supply of XRP and thus drive price higher. So think of that whole mechanism. The faster the engine runs, the more banks, the more transactions, the more volume go through, the higher the price will go. And I repeat it, Shane himself said $1,000 per XRP is nothing. Nothing. And I think in a not too distant time from now we will definitely see $10,000. Then there was another question which is roughly related to escrow XRP supply, and basically the amount of XRP circulating available is irrelevant. The only thing relevant, and this I have been trying to bring across in my recent videos regarding the market mechanics, is can those XRP which are allegedly circulating actually be bought on exchanges. When I buy today, I will not sell today. I will sell once I made a decent profit on that. That's the reason why I think the actual circulating supply is around 500 million XRP daily. I think that's the average XRP volume which we can expect once the price is more or less stable. I'm looking forward to your comments and to your further questions, and I want to thank you for your trust and confidence in my research and my explanations. I wish you a nice day. Bye.